Hi guys, last few minutes, so Rox is going to open and introduce Dave Marsh. I'll spin the camera around and yeah, it's been good. Been good fun. Had a really good weekend and looking forward to Amsterdam after this, after a good night's kip. But there you go guys, I'll turn around.
Okay everyone, if you're ready, we'll get started.
Okay, everybody, it really does pain me to say that I'm about to introduce the last person to speak to this all today. It feels like she's going to bring tonight this weekend to no time, just as started over here. But it gives me great pleasure to introduce Dave Marsh from Sheffield. Now living in Ripley, Nottinghamshire, he's been studying the moon with his Nikon D900 camera and has spoken at multiple conferences from America, New Zealand, here in the UK. An activist at Speaker's Corner, one of the first to take the plunge in the first move back to disco on the streets. A mod in many Facebook groups, most of which I'm very fond of, especially enjoy your NASA jokes. Documenter of the Dr. John D observations in Brighton with his camera, Dave has become a valued member of the community, and we can't wait to see what another year of moon observations will bring to this presentation today. Testing the moon, a very wide perspective, I'm delighted and very proud to announce Dave as one of our very own. Please give Dave a massive warm welcome, Mr. Dave Marsh.
Thank you very much. Oh, wow. Might tell me to get used to this microphone. Is there more Marshes in the house? Hey, we're Marshes in the house. Yeah, totally. Okay, what I want to do first, I just want to set off with this little video that I created a few weeks back. And it's just to show what happens when a star passes by the moon. So Hyagram 2 is the actual name of the star. So the reason why I wanted to show that video is because there's always been a lot of questions about whether we can see stars through the moon at particular times. But we'll pick up on that further on in the presentation. First, a quick message from Brian Cox. Oh no, we'll start with the disclaimer first. Sorry. So basically, yeah, what I'm going to say is that am I a scientist? No, I'm not. I'm not a PhD. Yeah, I'm just a guy who was a warehouse manager. Yeah, came across Flat Earth about 4 years ago, and I've spent the majority of my time observing the moon. So what we'll do now, we'll have a little insight in what I've been doing over the last three or 4 years. Now, a quick message from Brian Cox. So this was from, I think it was from the Rally conference back in 2017, where Brian Cox put out a message on Twitter, and he says, perhaps they could put this quote below, everyone attending this conference is a shitbox. That's the kind of stuff we get from Brian Cox.
There is absolutely no basis at all for thinking the world is flat. Nobody in human history, as far as I know, has thought the world was flat.
So, no one in human history has thought the Earth was flat. Well, how about every single ancient civilization in history? Yeah, I know we went through this a few times today, but you've got the Mayan, the Norse, the Hindus, the Inca, the Navajo, the Hebrews. I mean, the Egyptian cosmology, it doesn't exactly look like a spinning ball in outer space, does it? No. Has anybody ever heard of Cosmos Indicoplesis? Well, this guy is a Christian monk and merchant sailor from the 6th century who was an avid flat earther, and he was known for actually debating his fellow monks back in the 6th century. Some people think flat earth's a psyop, yeah, it's been planted on us in 2013, 2014. But if you look back, you'll see that flat earth goes back way before that, yeah? You know what I mean? So this is actually, he wrote a book called The Christian Topography. And it's a very interesting book, and I highly recommend that you read it. And this is one of his early maps. It's a bit of a strange map, like, but it's very interesting. So, proof of the globe. I actually took this off the BBC website. Yeah, this is their proof of the globe. I'm sure you know what this logo is. I like to name my slides, I actually call this one Red's Dead. So what Red's basically saying here is that if you stand at the beach and you watch a sailboat sail away from you, it will disappear over a curve. I know Dave did a brilliant section when he showed the guy walking around the football field. But you're seeing the same optical effect here as the guy walking away on the football field. But the camera is obviously lifted higher. Exactly the same effect, yeah. Looks like it's actually going over the curve, when clearly it's just converging. What's interesting is that when you ask a reputable scientist today, proof of the globe, you always get referred back to something like boats going over the horizon or Aristophanes' experiment. Yeah, it's 2019 and they're referring back to something what was in ancient times. You know what I mean? Where's the modern technology to show these? So what I did here, I just wanted to try and give my explanation on perspective. So when the true law of perspective, when an object moves away from you, the centre of the point is where everything converges. That's called the Theta point. So if I move this object further and further away, it will converge, and the point will be the centre of it. And that's basically how the law of perspective works. Now, if you had an horizon or the sea or land, and you repeat that same observation, the only difference is now is that the land or the sea becomes that datum line. So when an object converges now, it actually looks like it's setting. That's because the actual line of the sea or the land or whatever it is, becomes that datum line. And remember, the ocean is always moving, it's undulating, there's waves, there's currents. So I hope that gives you a little bit of insight into how perspective works at sea. This is an interesting quote from Nikola Tesla. Today's scientists have substituted mathematics for experiments, and they wander off through equation after equation and eventually build a structure which has no relation to reality. Basically, what he's saying there is everything we learn today, is theory. There is no science. Just got a little bit of a short video to watch now.
Kepler's first law states that an orbiting body travels in an elliptical path around a central massive body, which is located at one of the ellipses foci. Let's make sure we understand what we're talking about here. And to start, we're going to review what an ellipse is. If I start with 2 points in space, as I've identified here, if I were to connect those 2 points with a loose string, something like this, I could then take that string and I could stretch it upward and make a point like that. Now I could insist that this string stays tight and taut, and then I could start moving it around to the left. I've left the image of our previous slide up there, but you can see that now I'm moving around. I could keep moving, perhaps putting a pen or a pencil inside of that pointed area. And if I were to do this long enough, I could sketch out a shape, and that shape is an ellipse. And so here we are looking at an ellipse. Remember that the 2 points inside are called the focal points. If I want to refer to both of the focal points, I could use the plural foci. So this just gives me some language to work with. One thing I wanted to say about an ellipse is if you take the 2 focal points and you move them close together, right on top of one another, then we're just left with our familiar circle. So really a circle is just a very specific type of ellipse. So going back to Kepler's law, it says that a planet that I'm showing here in green, or any orbiting object for that matter, must travel in an elliptical path. That central massive object is located at one of the foci. It doesn't really matter which one I place it at. This image right here is essentially the same image as if it's located over on the other side. But it is important to note that at one focal point, you have the large central massive object, and at the other focal point, you have nothing. Void space. There's nothing there.
There's nothing there. Now, my first question is, to keep that ellipse, you would need 2 focal points. So, if the sun is one of the focal points, and the Earth's orbiting that, what's occupying the second focal point, or foci? It's non-existent. When you ask the scientists where that second focal point is, the answer is, it's mathematical. There is no physical point. It's just a point in space. So, interestingly though, all Kepler's laws of planetary motion were built up on observations by his predecessor, Tycho
Very
Brahe.
average, Josh.
Now, Tycho Brahe, he passed away at the end of the 16th century. Basically, I think it was 1590 something. But the telescope wasn't invented until 1608. So all Tycho Brahe's observations were made before the telescope were even invented. I don't think it's a real good building block for science. I know they had some clever gadgets back then. They had things like astrolabes and what have you. But for me, to build up Kepler's law on observations before a telescope was even invented is crazy. That's my thoughts on that. This is what we're using today. The Nikon Coolpix P1000, aka Curve Buster. So, if you look at the kind of tools that we're using today, Nikon Coolpix P700, P900, we've got the Nikon Coolpix P1000 now, we've got apps what can record your GPS, which can give you the direction or give you the angle of an object off the horizon. And with these tools, myself and a few others, Roxanne and Leo, he was here as well, we took part in an observation, I think it was back in February, late February, with Dr. John Dean and Clive and the rest of his team, and we set out between Brighton and Worthing to see if we could see a laser from 2 points. Now we had 2 lasers at each observation point. So this is the setup at Worthing Pier with Dr. John and his team. And this is me and Roxanne and the rest of the team set up at Brighton, which is approximately 9.5 miles away, as the crow flies. This is an interesting shot because this is when I zoomed in on Worthing. Now, we tried this observation 2 or 3 times, but due to the weather conditions, at one time you couldn't even see Worthing. Yeah, but as you can see, when the conditions arrives, it makes it a lot better to see further. And as you can see on this image there, there's not a lot of refraction. On previous images, them red lights, there was 4 of them, where the objects, where the horizon is and basically mirroring the objects. So we took regular readings. There's Roxanne, I'm sure Lee's there as well, is it? Yeah. So we took regular readings at regular heights. So here what we're doing, we're testing the actual humidity. The humidity on that day was around about 70%, which is pretty average, really. We also took various temperatures of the water, and the water was about 7 degrees. We also took various temperature readings at various heights, from 1 meter to 3 meter. Again, 7 degrees. When you get the ocean's temperature, the same as the air temperature, that's when the conditions are good for making these observations. If you've got 2 or 3 degrees variation, you're not going to see very far at all. You're going to get a lot of refraction, and you're going to get a lot of the light bending upwards. Here's the laser light at 1 meter. And this is basically the laser shining from Worthing to Brighton. Now, if you look carefully, you'll see a little bit of a red dot. Because what we did to line these lasers up as well, I actually used their light source to line my laser up, and I'm guessing they did the same for us. This is a shot what I took myself from Brighton to Worthing, and as you can see from the opposite end, you can see the green light source from the other laser. Remember, we're only 1 meter off sea level here. And there's another shot from Brighton to Worthing, and you can clearly see the light source at the other end. On this video, this is where Dr. John took his laser down to 6 inches above sea level.
Alright, are you able to see it?
Yeah, I can swing it back in so swing it round. That's for the swing round again. There you can see the I-360 at Brighton. So, what does the math say about this? So we put total information into there. So you've got the viewer height, which is 3'2", which is approximately 1 meter. You've got to be using a distance of 9.5 miles. The viewer height, 3.28 feet, on a radius of 3,959 miles, and a circumference on 24,901 miles. The results, if we include the standard refraction, now what I showed you before, there wasn't no refraction there, but we'll go by the one which has got the standard refraction calculated into it. So the refracted horizon was 2.4 miles away, the refracted drop was 51.58 feet, and the hidden curvature on that distance, 9.5 miles, was 28.85 feet. So the likelihood of seeing them light sources from them points was 1% on a globe. 1%. So my question is, behind what curve? There's just another shot showing you from the distance from the viewer's eye to the hidden target. You should be below the horizon. You should have never seen them lasers from either point.
And I thought I wasn't going to get anything that would beat this until I found this photo, Randmere State Park. This is from Joshua Nowicki. And what you're seeing here is a mirage.
So that's the answer to the question from mainstream, yeah? What we're seeing really, we're not seeing them light sources really. They're magically rising up from behind the curve. That's the only reason why we can see them light sources. This is a flat earth proof from a good friend of mine, Jenna Fredo. She made a great observation of the Toronto skyline from Fort Niagara. Very interesting video. That white building there is the actual Rogers building. And that building shouldn't even be visible. So again, there was 516.85 feet missing curvature between those observation points. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's just impossible on the globe. Now, I understand that since we've been making these observations at Price and Worthing, that Midwest has actually gone back and he's actually changed his metabolic Earth calculator now. It doesn't work over C normal. Yeah, so you know what I mean? Is just moving the goalposts each time. This is an interesting shot by Jenna Fredo. All she's done here, she's basically on a court, and she's took a bottle and she's just shot it from a distance to show you what light does. Light does some really strange things. I've seen alien lasers up into the air, yeah. And as you can see, yeah, from a distance, it basically mirrors it down. The object is being mirrored down. This is what they think is the actual curvature of the Earth. But you can see that the light is just bending that image down, and you can see it's clearly mirrored that image. This is a good example of that. Yeah, when you see the I don't know if the communication towers over Lake Pontchartrain. But what is apparent always is that the horizon is always at your eye level. So whether you're at the beach, here's me in Fuerteventura, at Mount Everest, or 120,000 feet. The horizon always rises to the eye level. The only time they see curvature, I'm sure you've seen this a number of times now, is when you see the Felix Baumgartner edge of space jump. And I'm sure you've seen this video too.
And not only that, they make sure to photograph him standing there with a really wide-angle lens, which curves horizontal lines. So in the photo, you see this curvature of Earth's surface, and you say, wow, he's in space, look at that. No, he's not. At that height, you don't see the curvature of the Earth if you are 2 millimeters above this beach ball. You just don't. That stuff is flat.
So Neil claims that even at 128,000 feet, the Earth is flat. What I wanted to do a step further. I wanted to see how high can we actually go before we see the curve of the Earth. The only video I could find was on the GoPro was the SL-10 amateur rocket, which reached an altitude of 396,000 feet. That's nearly 70 miles. What I did with this, our GoPro lens works. When the camera is panned down, you'll get basically a convex image, and when it's panned up, you'll get a concave image. But when the horizon sits equidistant, what you'll get the true horizon. And what I found is, when I paused the actual SL-10 amateur rocket, you got a perfect straight line. It doesn't look quite straight on there, you've got a few wobbles in the screen, but trust me, that line is perfect straight. What you have to take into consideration is a GoPro lens shoots one at a field of view of 180 degrees, there's a lot of horizon there. It's not just a short little bit of a field of view, it's a huge, wide 180 degrees field of view. And like we've talked about before, I always think it's a good talking point. Yeah, if you're ever thinking about looking into flat Earth, the first thing you'll probably do is Google images of Earth, and you'll get a lot of cartoons basically. And we all know this case. I'm not going to draw on about this guy. We've talked about him numerous times in previous presentations. Robson and 8 Games, the Blue Marble.
It is Photoshop, but it has to be.
So, what we're told. So we're told we live on a globe, and we're orbited by a single satellite, which we call the Moon. The Moon moves between 2 points in its orbit. It has a closest point at perigee, and the furthest point at apogee. We'll keep that in mind because I'm going to be looking at that cycle later on in this presentation. But from my previous observations, and a number of our observations there, it doesn't fit that model. Where's the curvature? Yeah, there is no measurable curvature. So now what we need to do, I need to look at the Moon from a different perspective. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to test the Moon from a flat Earth or a globe-wide perspective. And this is what I've done with my observations over the last few years. So how do I make my observations? I use a number of tools. I use a compass. What I've done there, I've placed an app over the compass to see how accurate the actual app is compared to a compass facing north. I used the Nikon Coolpix B700. I've recommended that to a few people in the past. I'm sure you've enjoyed that camera. And I've also got the Nikon Coolpix P1000. Going back to the app, I use an app called Dioptra. It's a free app on Android. There is an equivalent on iOS called Theodolite. So if you want to make some simple observations, it's very simple to install. You just point it and click, and it gives you an azimuth, a direction, and a declination angle, the height of the object from the horizon. So I'll just read a little bit about that there. It says, a camera position and angle measurement tool for navigation, surveying, positioning, and measurement. Dioptra provides the following information: a yaw indicator, basically it's a compass, pitch indicator, so you've got the tilt, and you've got the roll indicator as well. So it's got some good information on there. It's also got GPS and azimuth and bearing to photo. So basically, when you take the shot, you'll have your direction and your declination angle. I also use another tool called Bear Soft Measuring Tool. Because if I want to actually measure the Moon, I'm going to use some software to do that. And I'm going to give you going back to this, the LROR data. The reason why I use this is simply to see when I make observations that the Moon's at its furthest point or its closest point. Because if it is, then there should be a measurable difference. And there again, we've got the diopter reading. So for an example, I took that shot there. If you look at the time on the image, it's 4:24 in the morning. I took the shot there at 4:25 in the morning, and as you can see, I'm roughly facing south and 38.5 degrees from the horizon, the Moon is. So we look at mainstream then, and we look at their numbers to see if they're matching up with what I'm reading. So if you look at the Moon altitude, 38.21, that's the height from the horizon, and looking at the azimuth is 179 degrees. This is a quick video now, how I actually measure the Moon. As you can see, you've got various tools down the left-hand side. You can measure the radius, you can measure the circumference, you can even get a screen and measure the screen if you know how to put in the formulas. So that's just one example how I measured an image, and then you can see the finished image there measured 2,345.15 pixels. What I always try to do with my observations, I always try to be consistent. Yeah, so I always measure them at the same resolution, and I always try and catch the moon at south, which is zenith. Zenith is the point, the highest point the moon will reach between rising and setting. Has anybody ever looked out the window? We talked about this to a few people last night. Have you looked out the window and seen the moon horizon, and it's absolutely huge. It's unbelievable the size of it. I'm sure many have seen it from time to time before. Now, what I wanted to do, I wanted to try and get my head around this. I actually bought 2 books on the moon illusion, and it still hasn't been solved. They've been looking at this for thousands of years, from Aristotle, Ptolemy, even Da Vinci had a good crack on this one, and he still couldn't crack it. So what I did, I used that Bearsoft measuring tool, and I actually measured that moon on the horizon. And as you can see there, the width of the moon is 2,011 pixels, and the height is 1860 pixels. Now, mainstream will tell you that you will get slight compression on the horizon, which is fair enough. What I did here, I took the metadata from the image, and if you look here at focal length, you'll see I'm at 258.0 millimeter focal length. Just keep that in mind, because all my images are made from that focal length, which is equivalent to the 1440 millimeter. What I did as well, I went up the moon calc, and I took a reading at that point there, because what I've showed previously is my observations can be pretty accurate when you use the diopter and you compare it to what mainstream state is. I only use this as a reference point for the moon direction and the moon angle off the horizon. That's all I use it for. So as you can see there, we've got, if you just have a look at the distance there, yeah, it's just ridiculous the distance for it. It's 369,834 kilometers. Yeah, we'll come back to that in a bit, because that actually is quite interesting. And it was a full moon, and it was at 99.7%. What I did then, I waited a few hours till the moon risen and got to my zenith. What I noticed was, it actually grew. So, that huge moon on the horizon actually measured smaller than that tiny little moon there. It's mind-boggling. It's absolutely mind-boggling. Well, I've made this observation now 5 times, and I've had the same results every single time. There again, you'll see the focal length on the image, 258.0 millimeters. As you can see now, the moon's reached south. But look at this, it's actually waning, so now it's 99.4%. So in theory, it's getting smaller. But not only that, the moon is heading into its furthest point of apogee according to the heliocentric model. So it's actually further away. It's 700 miles further away from my first observation to my second observation. Yeah? But it's measuring bigger. Now, the only reason I think that moon could get bigger from rise to zenith is if it's closer. If it's at the given distance to 250,000 miles away when it's at apogee, there would never be a significant change in the angular size of the moon. When you put them side by side, yes, you do get that atmospheric compression on the moon on the horizon, but what you'll also look at, if you look at the width, it's 2,011 millimeters, it's 2,048 millimeters. Yeah, so that is proof that although that moon on the horizon looks huge, in reality, it's actually smaller. And this is, NASA will say, I was reading up about this because I was very, very interested in this, and NASA tell you the way to measure the moon is to take your index finger and put it to the moon and use that as a measuring point. Yeah, that's how they want you to measure the moon, and then repeat it when it's at zenith. You know what I mean? It's 2019. We've got the technology out there. You know what I mean? You don't need expensive tools to make observations. What I've shown you, you need a camera, a format which is free, and the software, which you can get a free version of it as well. But what you'll see is NASA claims that you only get the compression on the horizon, yeah, on the actual image. They say you don't get the measurement distance as it rises. And this is interesting from NASA.gov. It says, step outside any evening at sunset and look around. You'll see a giant moon rising in the east. Sounds like for a 5-year-old, doesn't it? It looks like Earth's moon, round and cratered. The man in the moon is in his usual place, but something's wrong. The full moon is strangely inflated. It's huge. I don't know if that was written for a 5-year-old, but it sounds like it was to me. And there's the actual full time-stamped image of that moon. And what you'll see is, if you look at the houses here, compared to the moon, you'll see that they say you can't catch the moon illusion on camera, but clearly you can. So it is an illusion, it's something I'm still working on. But like I said, I've been working on it for 2,000 years, so I'll probably work on it for quite a long time too. So what we perceive is, we perceive the moon to be huge on the horizon, but tiny when it reaches that closest point to zenith. But what I have shown is that the moon is actually smaller and it grows as it reaches that point to the south. Now, for me, the only reason you would get a measurement on it is if it's closer. Some say it's a Ponzo effect, which I agree a little bit, because if you think about the moon, when it's on the horizon, it's set against the background, which you're familiar with. Yeah, so it just gives that impression that the moon is big. When the moon is in open space, you haven't got anything to compare it with, so that's why it looks tiny. So, as was mentioned before, if we look at the figures here, so when the moon was rising, the distance was 369,834, but when it was at zenith, it was 370,670. So it's actually further away, according to the heliocentric model. And if you look at the moon, it's actually 99.74, but it's waning, so it should be physically smaller as well. So the conclusion is, to me, that the moon is not as far as they're telling us. So I've showed that there. What I wanted to do, I wanted to repeat this process. In fact, I actually shot this one before it. So we'll look at it again, but this time I shot the moon hourly, so you can see how the moon increases in size from rising to zenith. So if you look there, you've got a pixel count of the width 2108 and a height of 2056. Next moon, got a width 210. You've got a height of 2099. Next one, 2127 with a height of 2131. You see, it's getting bigger. Next one, width 2150 and the height 2148. Getting bigger still. Width 2157, height 2156. Getting bigger again. So if it goes to zenith, it's at 2193 now with a height of 2189. But what was interesting was, see how the moon rotates? I always found that fascinating. And as you can see again, well, the measurements, just to show you that there is an increase in size of the moon. And I've done this observation a number of times, and I get the same results every single time. So, the moon rotation. You've just seen how the moon rotates when you're looking in one direction, and it rotates clockwise when you're in the opposite direction. Well, I looked at that and I thought, how can I do some kind of experimental observation? So what I did, I made myself a DIY moon rotation kit. Basically, I took 4 pictures of 4 full moons. I used blue tack and scissors. I cut them out and I stuck them on my ceiling. What else I did, the app I've been using, you can actually calibrate the app. So I calibrated it, so the middle of the actual room was my meridian line or my zenith point. I also set my camera up, and I also shot it with the app so I can get the direction and the declination angle. When I shot these 4 images, something really, really fascinating caught my attention. See if you can find out what it is. See the moon rotating? So, them images are fixed on my ceiling. Yeah? That moon's not rotating at all. It's the camera that's rotating, what gives the appearance that the moon is rotating. So the camera rotates counterclockwise, and the moon appears to rotate clockwise. Now, if you zoom in on that with the camera and you repeat, you get the exact same effect. So that's my answer to why the moon rotates. It's simply because you're looking in one direction and your camera twists one way and you catch the moon at the other location and it appears to rotate. When I put these two observations side by side, I use the easterly moon, which is at 51.7 degrees above the horizon, and I use my moon on my ceiling, which is at 51.6 degrees. If you look at the western one at 55.5, and my moon on my ceiling at 53.5, you get the exact same amount of rotation. Is that uncanny?
It's amazing.
Do you have the same conclusion for the sun?
It's exactly the same. The sunspots will rotate the same way. There is something else I haven't touched on that, but you do get an actually counterclockwise rotation. Yeah, but I will touch on that next time. I haven't got time to do that, but there is a slight counterclockwise rotation when the moon rises north and east. So, 10,500 mile moon sync. This was me and a friend. I was in the UK, they was in Australia. I saw the moon rising, I messaged them, I said, can you see the moon? He says, yeah, Kevin, it's just there. So I thought, take a shot of the moon, I'll take a shot of the moon, and we'll compare moons. So this is the moon from Australia. Probably looks a little bit unusual because it's upside down, or it appears to be upside down. Also took a diopter reading, there you can see, facing west-northwest, an altitude only 7 degrees above the horizon, and 282 degrees. I shot the same moon at the same time, in the daytime, which is quite weird. I took a diopter reading as well. My moon was only 18 degrees off the horizon, so it's only risen for a short while. And as you can see, the side-by-side moons are completely opposite to each other. Now, a lot of people say that's proof of the globe. I say, works exactly the same on a plane. So you've got your observer in the northern hemisphere, looking at the moon from that direction, and you've got your observer in the southern hemisphere, looking at the moon from that direction. You just see the moon upside down. They call that crazy, but they call that normal. The only way you're going to get me stuck to the bottom of that ball is with a magical force called gravity. So, now is the blue sky. Remember the video we watched previously about the star when we passed behind the moon? There's a lot of people asking, yeah, what altitude the stars are, how far the moon is. I don't know how far the moon is. What I do know is that the sun is further because we've got an event coming up in November where Mercury will transit in front of the sun, yeah, but it always goes behind the moon. So we know that the sun is at a further distance than the moon. But a lot of people said they've seen stars through the moon. I actually went on to Eric Bay's IFA's International Flat Earth and Research website to get this image. And what he's showing Venus being seen through the moon in the daytime. Now I've been shooting the moon for over 3 years, and I've shot 2 occults where stars have gone behind the moon, and both times they didn't appear until they cleared the whole disk of the moon. So for me, I've never ever observed that. And I've got a number of friends, Jennifer Frago, Ali Madge, they've been observing the moon for years and they've never seen this phenomenon either. But if you look at mountains from a distance, you get this same kind of effect on the moon. Basically, you get light scattering. The light scatters and it makes the object look transparent or translucent. Now, I don't know if the moon's a solid object or not, I'm not sure. But this is a daytime moon, or a crescent moon. Well, I said daytime, it's 5 o'clock in the evening, but as you can see, it's still light. But if you get the camera settings right and you overexpose the image, what you'll do, you'll be able to reveal the whole face of the moon. So regardless of the time of day, yeah, the whole disk of the moon is always present. Until I can actually observe it myself and see a spot through the moon, I'm going to stick to my guns and say, stars can't be seen through the moon. This is a picture I took of the daytime moon, and all I did, I put a filter on it and turned it into a nighttime moon. As you can see, there's the daytime moon, same moon, just added the filter, I turned the daytime moon into a nighttime moon. And this is basically what you call the light scale. Yeah. So you've got your colours. I don't fully understand this. Like I said, I've only been looking into this for the last 3.5, 4 years. I'm still learning. But what I tried to do, I tried to give myself an analogy of how the light spectrum works. And what I used 7 notes on a scale. So for an example, if you want to look at the shortwave ultraviolet light, I think of that as an high-pitched sound. And when you make an high-pitched sound, your bone in your ear vibrates faster. There is sounds you can't hear, like I'm sure that bats make a certain sound you can't hear, but that is the ultraviolet part of the scale, the invisible light scale. Then you've got the infrared long-wave light. Yes, you think of a low grumble noise, yeah, which vibration is slower. I think of that as the infrared. That's how I do it. I just try to build an analogy on it. So, you're probably wondering, well, why does the moon look white up there, but it looks red on the horizon? Now, as I showed with the mountains, objects, yeah, the light will scatter at a distance. Because it's shortwave light, it scatters very easily. So when the moon's on the horizon and you've got those dense layers of atmosphere, that shortwave light's not going to penetrate through that atmosphere. Yeah, only the long-wave light's going to get through it. And the long-wave light is red. So that's why you see the red moon on the horizon. Because the white light can't penetrate and the dense layers of atmosphere. So, part of my testing the moon, I wanted to look at all the moon cycles. It's mind-boggling trying to get your head around the cycles of the moon. We'll just start at the top, and we'll look at the anomalistic cycle. So the length of the anomalistic cycle is 27.55 days. The anomalistic cycle basically is the point of the moon between apogee and perigee. So it's the eccentricity of the moon, so the distance from its closest point to its furthest point. So the time it takes the moon to get from its closest point to its furthest point and back again is 27.55 days. Also look to the sidereal. The sidereal is the time it takes the moon to occupy one point in space, to pass through all the constellations and get to that same point again. That cycle takes 27.3 days. You've got the tropical cycle, the time it takes the moon to get from the Tropic of Cancer all the way to the Tropic of Capricorn and back again. That's very similar to the actual cycle. Draconic cycle, or Nordic cycle, is basically based on eclipses. Yeah, so you've got 2 nodes or points of alignment. So the time it takes the moon to get from one point or one node and back to the same point is 27.2 days. And the synodic cycle is basically the phases. The time it takes the new moon to go to full moon and back to new moon. And that takes 29.5 days. There's a lot of numbers there to try and get your head around. And when you try to picture a flat earth model in your head, it becomes very, very difficult to try and even consider it. That's why I don't personally buy into models, because you need to take these things into consideration because they are measurable. And what we're going to look at now, we're going to look at the anomalistic cycle. Is it measurable? Like I say, I'm not a scientist. I haven't got a PhD. Yeah, I've just got the tools I've got. So this is what happened. So I had to look online to find out when the moon was at apogee. So I found out when it was at apogee, and it happened to be there on the 23rd of the 8th, 2018. What I did, like I always do, I shoot the moon at zenith. So remember, that's the closest point between rising and setting, or the highest point. And as you'll see there, 182 degrees, 9.6 degrees from the horizon. So it's quite a low moon. What I did then, I go on to MoonCalc, and I check to see if my observations are matching up with what I'm recording. As you can see there, you've got 16.7 degrees on the horizon and 179 degrees. I got 9.6. Yes, tried to explain this to people before. When you point at an apple like that, if I move 1 millimetre, it could be 10 degrees. It's very, very difficult to get a very, very accurate reading. But I do get more and more accurate as I go through the observations. I also looked at NASA's LOR, Lunar Reconnaissance Orbital model, to see if they're claiming that the moon's apogee as well. And then I measured it. Remember I measured before with the tool I've got? And what I found is the moon was 1822.42 pixels. So then I waited for the moon to reach perigee. Now, this is not as easy as it sounds. You don't have to just wait a couple of weeks for it to get there. You sometimes have to wait months because it just depends on the cycle. So this one was got the 24th of the 12th, 2018. There again, 180 degrees. Always to keep my observations consistent. And this time it's really, really high in the sky. It's at 58.1 degrees from the horizon. According to mainstream, they're saying it's 57.72 degrees from the horizon and 179 degrees. I've got 58, so getting closer, and there you can see the azimuth for the direction of 178 degrees. I also looked on NASA's model again. As you can see now, the moon is getting closer. Yeah, so it's at perigee, so yeah. And I measured that moon as well, using the same process. And what you'll see is, there is quite a difference in size. Remember, I always use from the same camera, the same focal point, the same direction, south, and there definitely is a measurable distance. So, what I did again, I repeated the process. So more observations, waited for the moon to be at apogee again, which was on the 20th of 9, 2018. Again, keeping it consistent, 180 degrees at my zenith. And the moon this time is 43.7 degrees above the horizon. This is quite interesting because I actually made this observation when I was in the Canary Islands. So I thought, why not? You know what I mean? I'm in a different location, I'll make the same observation. So I made the same observation again, and there you'll see 179 and 42.6. 181 and 43.7. So I'm close. Like I say, it's probably me who's out in the variable because you've literally got to hold it up there to take a picture. Again, just to check with NASA's model, they're claiming the moon is at apogee at its furthest point again. And I repeat the process again and measure the moon. This time it's 1808.41 pixels. I always measure the moon at the same resolution with every image to keep it consistent as well. Back to perigee on the 25th of the 11th, 2018. Same again, when the moon's at my zenith, 56.7 degrees above the horizon. Checking with MoonCalc to see if my observations are accurate. And checking with NASA's model, not quite at perigee this time. Sometimes the moon doesn't get to a certain point, yeah. But there you'll see I measured it again, and it was 236.59 pixels. Put them side by side, and you can see again, there is the measurable distance. So, for me, the big said that an anomalistic cycle is there, and it's measurable. It's quite a big difference in size actually, I was quite surprised. All images captured on using the Nikon Coolpix P700 at the same focal length. Remember, always in the same direction as south. Here's another quick one. Micromoon to a supermoon. There's a huge difference in size there. Just a quick video again to show you the difference in size. So there is a significant difference between the moon between apogee and perigee, and it is measurable. So, back to lunar cycles. What I really wanted to do, I really wanted to catch the eclipse in July 2018. Now, due to the weather conditions, the UK weather, I never caught it. And it was disappointing because I really wanted to make these observations as part of something I was working on. So, during an eclipse, certain things have to align. Well, we know that the draconic or the nautical cycle has to align for an eclipse to take place. Cyclonic cycle, an eclipse only takes place when the moon's at full, so we know that that cycle has to align. Depending on where the sun and where the moon is, if you look at the tropical cycle, the moon, because the sun was high, they put the moon low. So the moon was at its furthest point on the tropical cycle. So that cycle lined up. The moon was also at apogee, so that cycle lined up. So on this specific night, every single one of them cycles lined up. And what we got was a lunar eclipse. The lunar eclipse is probably one of the only times you're ever going to observe a 100.0% full moon. You catch a normal full moon, it's probably 99.9%. The full moon was just on a few nights ago was 99.8%, and the moon before that was 99%. But there was a partial eclipse before that, and the moon was 100%. I actually caught this on a video, and when I played it back, I thought I caught a satellite. If you look carefully there, you'll see a little black dot. I thought that this would be the first time ever that I've caught a satellite, because usually it's just bugs, bees, leaves, the odd airplane. But when I played the video back, something interesting happened. It was a bird. I've never seen a satellite pass the moon yet. There's supposed to be thousands and thousands and thousands of them there, but I still haven't observed one. So back to the lunar eclipse. So we know that during the lunar eclipse, the moon will be at 100%. What I did, I wanted to find out how long does the moon stay at 100.0% during that eclipse. What I found out was, if you look at the time here, so we look at the date on 27th of July 2018 at 15:45 in the afternoon, as you can see, the moon was 100.0%. Now, what you can do on time of day, you can drag that bar right along. I dragged it along to the end, and it was still 100%, so I had to wait to the next day. And what I found is, I went right down to 3:01 in the morning the next day. The moon remained full at 100.0% for 11 hours and 22 minutes. Now, if you imagine the heliocentric model, you've got the moon relative to a fixed sun. That moon is constantly in motion going around the globe. At what point could that moon remain at 100% for more than a few minutes? It's absolutely impossible on the globe model, and there's a guy called Crowex who actually modelled this in AutoCAD using all the numbers and figures from the heliocentric model. Within 5 hours, his model went to 99.8%. He had to stop because it couldn't obviously go on any further because it really just got smaller and smaller all over record. What I also did, I looked at last month's 99.9% moon, and interestingly, that remained full at 99.9% for 14 hours. If I took the time the moon was below the horizon, it was over 14 hours. It was nearly 14 and a half hours. So, if you imagine the heliocentric model, you imagine the sun being fixed. At what point could that moon remain full at 100.0% for more than a few minutes? It's absolutely impossible. Like I said, finding inconsistencies with the moon is not easy. You have to dig deep. So, magnetism versus gravity. This is taken from a book called Ether and the Spirit. If either of these forces is to be done away with. It must be the mysterious, intangible, unphilosophic attraction of gravitation, which must be replaced by the philosophic and known attraction of electricity, which can be traced to a physical medium, the electromagnetic ether. I know that Dave touched on the Michelson-Morley experiments and Aries Fail and various other real experiments to try and detect the motion of the Earth. Now, on the back of the Michelson-Morley experiments, when they tried to detect the motion of the Earth through the ether, they failed to detect any motion. So they had two conclusions basically. One was there is no motion, or the other one, the ether doesn't exist. But they took the latter. And that's when Einstein created his theory of general relativity on the back of that experiment. So these are just my thoughts. Some people might think I'm a little bit crazy, but we know that there's things wrong with the flat Earth model. We know that. I mean, what I don't want to see is anybody jumping on the concave wagon. Please don't go full contact. So my thoughts. So matter is made up of three forms. You've got solid, liquid, and gaseous. And back in the early 1900s, you had a fourth substance, and that was ether. Now, as we mentioned before, that was abolished then. But what is ether? Well, they claim it's a luminescent substance which propagates light, and it's in a constant state of motion, and it carries all the heavenly bodies according to their varying altitudes, densities, and frequencies. And it's made up of two great vortices, one in the north and one in the south. That's a timeline from my friend Paul Kofo from New Zealand, facing south. If you put them side by side, what you see, the one in the north rotates counterclockwise, and the one in the south rotates clockwise. So, what's going on there then? So what I think is going on, as the moon is in that northern, what I call the northern circuit, as it gets southern declination, what it'll do, it's travelling through that ether, and as it gets southern declination, it will pick up on the currents in the opposing vortex and be circling the southern circuit. So this is a time lapse now of the moon. As you can see, it's in the northern circuit, and as you get the declination, it picks up in the southern circuit. And back again. As it crosses the celestial equator, it will pick up on the currents in the northern circuit and be circling what appears to be in the opposite direction. This is a time lapse when the moon is high in the Tropic of Cancer, and as you can see, it follows the actual circuit of the stars in the northern hemisphere. That's from my good friend Jennifer. This is what I captured myself when the moon's on the celestial equator, and it travels in a perfectly straight line nearly. Not quite right, because it's on either side of that celestial equator, but as you can see, it travels in a pretty fairly straight line. Now when the moon's low on the Tropic of Capricorn, it appears to be circling the southern circuit. As you can see there, it's below now, and it's circling on that southern circuit. If you do a time lapse from the equator, you can actually see both north and south celestial poles. It looks a little bit dodgy, you know, if you just look at it.
Looks very Troy.
It looks to me a bit like a magnetic field. What do you think? So, interestingly, on a magnetic field, you've got two poles. You've got one current goes in one direction, and you've got another current goes in another direction. I tried to picture this in my head, and I tried to explain what I see in the sky. As you can see there, you've got the north celestial pole. Remember when I'm referring to poles, I'm talking about celestial poles and not geographical poles. There is a difference. So you've got the north celestial pole and you've got the south celestial pole, like two giant wheels in the sky. One appears to be turning one direction, one appears to be turning in the opposite direction. It's a little bit like a figure of 8. And that image again turned on its side with that time lapse on the equator. Very uncanny, isn't it, when you put two together, and you can basically see you've got one pole that side, you've got one pole that side. Interestingly, if you go to moon calc and you take the moon to 60 degrees, you drag the cursor up to 60 degrees or above, and you wait till the moon's on the Tropic of Cancer, what you'll find is the moon's circumpolar. It's visible for 24 hours a day. But while it's visible for 24 hours a day on that circuit, it's not visible on the sun circuit. It doesn't rise. And vice versa. That one can be confirmed at the top, but the bottom one is going to be difficult. So when you're at 60 degrees south, guess what you hit? You're in Antarctica. Yeah? So it is a little bit difficult to confirm, but if you go by what moon calc says, we know that it's accurate, so I've shown that in all my observations. What you'll see is, it does the same thing. It's circumpolar. So when the moon's high on the Tropic of Capricorn in the southern circuit, it's visible for 24 hours a day, but it's not visible in the northern circuit then. I actually named this the lunar lemur. I'm sure you might have heard of it. And that's the pattern. You basically got that figure of 8 pattern, what the moon draws, and the stars, and the sun. So, what is the moon? We've had this conversation a number of times last night. So, some say it's a light in the sky. Some say it's a rock. I mean, if you zoom in, it does look a little bit rocky at times. And as I've showed in previous observations, if you look at some of them rocks, they're casting a shadow too. It looks like a sphere. Sometimes it looks very spherical when you're observing it. It looks like a disc sometimes. Sometimes it looks like a projection. If you look carefully, you can't really see it here, but the actual lens flare creates an image of the moon. So that bright spot creates an image of the moon. How I try to picture the moon in my head is that the moon and the sun and stars in the firmament, and our atmosphere acts as a perfect lens, and what we see is actually a focal point projection. We're just seeing a projection of the moon. Mainstream will tell me I'm crazy. But when you get a stellarium, which is when a moon rises already eclipsed, when the sun's above the horizon, they'll say, you're not really seeing that moon, yeah, it's because of refraction, it's actually below the horizon line, yeah, because if it wasn't, it wouldn't be able to be in line to create the eclipse, what they call seismic. Sometimes it looks like a hologram. The bright spot is actually the moon, but it created a hologram reflection. I know Pro 777 thinks it's a hologram. He also thinks it's two suns as well. Sometimes it looks like it emits light. Sometimes it looks like it reflects light. We know that the word month is derived from the word moon. And we know that the word lunatic is derived from the word lunar. Now, we've been observing the moon for thousands and thousands of years. And I don't think we're any wiser. Yeah? So my question is, what is the moon? Me personally, I don't know. I don't know what its function is. One thing I do know for sure it's not, and it's not that. That is the Discover Epic satellite, which apparently shot this image from 1 million miles away, if you want to believe that nonsense. And just to add insult to injury, they're now telling us it's a sports car floating in space. If you believe that nonsense, then your indoctrination has been successful. So why do I do all this? Why have I spent the last 4 years of my life observing the moon, making observations, spending thousands and thousands of pounds on trips and things like that? All I want to do is find one piece of that puzzle. If I can find one piece of that puzzle and wake up a few people on the way, then I'll do my job and I'll be happy. And talking about the lunar boogie, everybody seen this? Yes, that is a scaled down remote control car with rear-wheel steering and a dummy at the wheel. That's it. Thank you.
So much new information there for a lot of people, I suspect, so that was pretty new. Has anyone got any questions today? Wow, a lot of questions, isn't it?
I asked quite a few questions last night. Yeah.
Yes.
So are you reasonably confident now there is no rotation?
On the moon?
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And
I
that's
proved it with the
fantastic, the way
observation.
you worked out how to prove it.
Prove it's not rotating on the sky.
That's amazing.
You showed that picture with the moon blue, and then you put a filter over it, black. Is that right?
Yeah.
I took a picture of my P900 at the time, and it was twilight, and there was still blue sky around the moon. I zoomed in, I zoomed past the moon. Have you heard that?
Yeah, literally, I went from. Yeah, I was saying that it was twilight. I was looking up at the moon. I saw blue sky around it. It's also getting dark now. So there was blue sky around it. I zoomed in past the blue to the black. And I zoomed back out again. And I was just wondering. Yeah, if you put the camera in moon setting, what it does, it also adjusts as well. Yeah, so even though the daytime you zoom in, well, it does darken up sometimes because it also adjusts the exposure aperture on the fire scene. If you lock the exposure, zoom on it, it'll stay that colour. It's only when it's also at the flip between.
And you actually tried that?
Yes, I've done it. Like I said, sometimes if I want to show that the moon is on a blue background, I need to lock the exposure to show that blue background, because otherwise it will go black.
Yes, over here.
It's a bit of a stupid question to ask, but how the hell are the craters on the moon when we're supposed to be in the way of the moon?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Like, according to the heliocentric model, what's causing craters? Because if gravity is a real thing, then the asteroids or meteors would have obviously hit the Earth and not the moon. Yeah, it's a good question. Like I say, we don't know what the moon is. They tell us it's a rock in outer space, but clearly I think it's something more on the verge of supernatural than actually being a physical object in the sky.
Can I answer that question? Because you saw it also, the luminary mysterium of Wakey Wakey. And it shows some experiments in laboratory where they do those craters in the moon in laboratory conditions under electromagnetic field forces.
They pop up.
Well, yeah, they pop up just like that.
I'm just wondering, in your observations, if the actual, you've got loads of pictures of the moon, images of the moon, had that ever changed? Like an extra crater, something missing?
Never.
Just completely the same?
Exactly the same every time.
Right.
Yeah. What you do see the moon, it does move, it does rock a little bit. Sometimes at the edges, you'll see more and more of the seas. Yeah, you'll have a gap down it, and then other times it'll actually touch the actual edge of the moon. So there is a rocking effect. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, the moon, it looks like many things when you look at it. You know what I mean? It looks like a disc.
Hi, Dave. Dave and I were actually flat smacking one of the girls in the kitchen in the restaurant. The lux levels on the moon, because what we were basically saying to the girl is that the actual reflection from the moon, from the centre of the moon and to the periphery, should be different, because obviously you can't have it all being the same. Well, so is there a way of checking lux levels?
Well, there is the inverse square law, isn't there? Obviously, if you think about the moon's brightness now, every time you get close to that moon, it'll get twice as bright. Then you go back to 1969 when they landed on the moon, it's like an old dusty rock. You know what I mean? It should have been absolutely blinding on there. So
It's just a question of that you can't have the moon's light being equal throughout the whole surface. It has to be different if it's a reflection of the sun.
Well, yeah, like I say, there is subjects what I haven't touched on. Like I say, I try and concentrate on specific things, but it is a good question. It's not one I can really answer to.
Thanks.
I was just wondering, bearing in mind the fact that as far as I know, stars being observed through the invisible bit of the moon has been recorded about 50 times over the last 500 years by professional astronomers.
According to Samuel Robotham, who's referring to the Astronomical Society, the Royal Astronomical Society, it's been observed.
That's right.
Well,
Are you rejecting that?
all I'm saying is that I've been observing the moon close for the last 4 years. I've recorded that phenomenon twice, and I've never observed it. Yeah?
Okay, yeah.
For me, until I observe it, I'm going to say you can't see stars through the moon.
You are absolutely convinced it's a full solid object.
You will always see the full disk of the moon, yeah, but because of light scattering and other various factors, that you can only see the face of the moon. But like I showed,
Nobody's ever identified the stars as
no, yeah, a lot of it to me is when you've got their pixels and things like that, they do. When you put that
Okay guys, I'm going to finish up streaming now. Still getting ready to pack up. It's been a great weekend, and I hope you've all shared a little bit of the flavour of the weekend. Maybe not the ball so much last night, but
I know Proceed it. I know Diversity J, who's got a P1 house, and she observed that. So I've never observed them going away. I'm still a bit sceptical of it personally. Yeah, like I say, I've seen it on various different channels.
quick shot of Charlotte. Thanks, Charlotte.
Pictures we see of
Is that Charlotte who did all the hard work?
Charlotte
Van Love.
Check me out on YouTube.
Yes,
Okay, and on that, guys, I will spaz about with the camera.
yeah, and the professionals call it the bumpy effect.
Take it easy, guys, then,
I'm
and keep it
guilty
flat.
of making this mistake when I first got my camera. Yeah, I zoom